Hey everyone! So for anyone who doesn't know, I graduated with my bachelor's in psych and I just love psychology, whether it be pop psychology, neuroscience, anything about it, I just adore it. If anyone else is like me, I love research. So this morning I delved into the journals and did some work on a topic that I thought was interesting and something I am always into learning more about. The topic today was love. So today for you, I have 5 things that psychology tells us about love and relationships. Let's jump in. The first study is about something that is pretty big in relationships, and that is promises. This study is by Peets and Kamrath, 2011. The main idea is that partners who think about their partner's feelings when they're making promises are more likely to make bigger, more ambitious promises that they can't keep. So it's like the more motivated you are to please your partner and to fulfill their needs, the more likely you are to overpromise and not be able to fulfill them. In contrast, people who are more focused on their willpower and their self-control, they call them self-regulation skills in the article, they were able to make more realistic promises that they could keep, so they weren't likely to overpromise. Do I do that? The next study I think is so interesting because it really applies to everybody, and especially people who believe in puppy love. This is for you. This was a study of married couples, and they looked at couples that fell in love at first sight and couples who got to know each other more gradually and then fell in love. So what they found is that couples that fell in love at first sight were less likely to have similar personalities and more likely to be dissimilar. However, they found that couples that fell in love more gradually were more likely to have similar personalities. I'm sure you're wondering, does this matter? No, it does not. Apparently, on a scale of relationship quality, couples did not rate their relationships any better or worse, whether they fell in love at first sight or they got to know each other gradually. The 3 personality traits that they found were most different in people who fell in love at first sight were extroversion, emotional stability, and autonomy. And autonomy, if you don't know, is basically like your sense of self. When I was reading this, I was trying to figure out, well, what's the point? If the relationship satisfaction is the same for both kinds of couples, why does it matter? And why don't more dissimilar people stay happy in relationships? Here's an idea. Apparently, the couples who fell in love at first sight rated their relationship to have a very high level of passion. High levels of passion are associated with 3 things. The first thing is the best thing, and that is high marital satisfaction. The second thing is idolizing your partner, and that basically means looking at your partner in a really positive light and sort of putting them up on a pedestal. The third thing is positive expectations for your relationship. The great thing about all of those things is that they help increase communication. So they believe that that is why partners who fell in love at first sight, who may be a little bit more dissimilar than other couples, do so well is because they have all of these things that lead to them being great communicators. This study is by Barelds and Barelds-Dijkstra. The next study has a main idea that's called the love is blind bias. I'm sure you're wondering what that means. Basically, the results of this study are that both men and women are more likely to rate their partner as significantly more physically attractive than themselves. And there were a couple of personality traits that were associated with having this bias. The first was extroversion, high self-esteem, relationship satisfaction, and the last one was being in a relationship high in romantic love. In contrast, the next study is about when love is not blind, which I thought was kind of funny. One of the things that was essential to the study was ruminating, and I'm a big ruminator. I don't like it about myself, but I tend to just dwell on thoughts and think about them over and over and over, especially in a relationship. Yeah. Just repetitive thinking. If you have the same tendency, let me tell you why it's not a good thing. Apparently, if something hurtful happens in your relationship, if you are one of us with a tendency to ruminate, you are more likely to be unable to feel positively towards your partner and regulate your emotions better in relation to that event. Let me break that down more. People with low tendencies to ruminate were more likely to let it go, basically, and have less negative feelings. They could look at their partner more positively after something hurtful happened in their relationship, and they were just better able to cope with it. Ruminators are more likely to sit and think about it and be unable to kind of move past it in a better way and think their part. Can't think like I love you. So ruminating sticks you with all of these negative feelings that you don't want or need and are hurtful to resolving conflict in your relationship. So let's just stop. We'll thank Jostmann, Karremans, and Finkenauer for their 2011 revelation. The last study I want to tell you about is probably my favorite. It's by Harrison and Shortall, and it's 2011, so it's relatively new. And it's about those 3 words. Interestingly, both men and women believe that women are most likely to say, I love you first, and most likely to feel it. So we're just fools for love, as the article put it. However, the study found that men actually report falling in love earlier and expressing it earlier in their relationships than women do. I don't know if I would have expected that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned a little bit about yourselves and the way that you communicate in relationships. Don't forget to thumbs up if you like this video or leave a comment down below.